It's live.
It's live today, folks.
Go.
Be sure to go check it out. Wendy's is offering fresh prizes all season long with Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Fantasy. The game lives weekly on dailyfaceoff.com with weekly prizes and a season-long prize of $5,000 up for grabs. It's simple. Sign up, play, and then get free stuff on the Wendy's app. You pick a prop that will happen in a game. I picked Colorado 3.5. 3.5 or more goals. And it even shows you the percentage of people that pick the same thing as you, which I find really interesting. You pick a prop each day, you do it all week, and you try to survive. And it tells you how many people are left in the game. It tells you how many people are entered. It's so cool. Go check it out over at Daily Faceoff. And while you're playing that game, use the DoorDash app to order yourself a barbecue bacon cheeseburger. Freshly added to the Wendy's lineup. Enjoy the Applewood smoked bacon and crispy onions as cheese melts over the fresh, never frozen Canadian beef. Next week,
it's the onions, man. Those crispy onions. Come on.
Next week, we'll go over our results. Well, I'll go over my results.
I won't.
Also, we're announcing the new co-host in like 15-ish minutes. And with that, let's bring in.
Well, it's not Frank.
No, it's not Frank. I wish. Sorry to the new co-host who's going to be joining us, and he's going to do an excellent job.
I wish.
Frank Seravalli, the Grand Master of Daily Faceoff.
Yeah.
Frank Seravalli. Frank, what was your pick today in Daily Faceoff Survivor Fantasy?
Sabres win.
I like that. I thought about that, but what do you I don't know. So you're one against Philly, hey?
Yeah, I mean, they're bound to regress at some point.
But do you think that happens tonight? We were just having this conversation that John Tortorella teams always start the year so hot. I don't know. 2 straight losses for the boys. They're coming back. I don't know, man. I thought long and hard about picking Philly tonight.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think that's the best part is I like going against the grain a little bit.
Yeah. No, you'll see. I got a Betway bet of the day later on today about Buffalo.
Only,
I'm Frank.
Only 13% of the pool has picked the Sabres to win.
Get a cheeseburger out of it too if you vote, right? That's all you get.
Dude, I had one of those barbecue bacon cheeseburgers when I was in Edmonton over the weekend.
They're so good.
Pretty good.
Sometimes
I know. Frank had a cheeseburger. Breaking news. Way to go, guys.
Yeah, that's what we do here on the show. You know what? There's been too much cheeseburger talk on the show in the last little bit, to be honest. Frank, Canucks are 6-2-1 on the season, on the back of structure as well as their stars. Which one do you think has impressed you more this year? The way the Canucks are playing or the way that their stars are playing right now?
Definitely the way their structure has really come to the forefront. It's no secret or surprise that the Canucks had quality star players really kind of at every position. You've got Pettersson, you've got Hughes, you've got Demko, like you've got all the positional boxes checked, but the common thread between those players being here and the last number of years has been next to no structure. And look, I don't want to pat myself on the back. I mean, I can't because my arm's not long enough, but I feel like as an early adopter of this Canucks team being a playoff team this year and the different, almost like, I know we're only 10% of the way in, but almost everything I told you guys being in Van in training camp has come true.
I know. I told Quads we should have just played your interview from last time right now. It would have been timely. It would have gone well for you. The other guy, and something that you actually talked with Ian Cole. We're loving the way that he's fitting in. It's like he's a player that, we'll come here and we'll do the show. We might not even talk about him all week, but like, is that not the guy that Ian Cole is in your lineup? A guy that probably not going to get talked about a lot. That means he's doing a hell of a job.
Set it and forget it. He's like one of those easy bake ovens. Like you just kind of put him in the lineup and watch him go. And some of the best defensemen, like if they're not impacting you at the offensive end of the ice, the best thing you can do for a defenseman is not notice them or talk about them, because that means they're not contributing to a hellscape in your own end. And that's sort of what Cole is, a no maintenance, low maintenance player that has been around and gets it. And also feels like that was one of the real revealing things of my interview with the Canucks guys during, training camp, was him saying he feels like he has a lot left to give. A lot of people look at the last, few years of being on 1-year deals thinking like, okay, this guy is sort of getting toward the end of his career. And he goes, Yeah, I mean, I haven't played that many games in the NHL. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And he almost like looked at me in the interview and was like, wait, you don't seem to believe this. And I was like, no, it's an interesting thought for a guy that didn't make it into the league until later in his career, that he would end up being a mainstay for so deep into it.
Quinn Hughes has been ultra impressive to start the new season. Can we see all Hughes brothers walk away with hardware at the end of this year?
Well, I said already,
of course you did.
no, that he's going to squarely factor into Norris Trophy voting. I'm actually pulling up my ballot from last year because I'm really curious to see where exactly I had him. I'm pretty sure that I had him right in the mix for the Norris, and I'm just scrolling.
Where do you have him at? Where do you have him?
I either had him
3 or 4,
second or third.
Yeah, I think
on
you were
mine.
up there as well.
And I had Carlson. I had Hampus Lindholm was in my top 3.
Yeah, I think you had 3. I looked this up the other day.
I had him at 3.
I think so. Yeah.
Really? I thought I had him at second.
No, I think you were big on Hampus.
Lindholm was good. Yeah, but
I lied. I did not have Quinn Hughes on my Norris ballot last year.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go.
I went Hampus Lindholm, which, by the way, did not vote Erik Karlsson 1. I went Lindholm, Miro Heiskanen, Cale Makar, Erik Karlsson, and Adam Fox. I know he was in my like sort of short list of names that I had considered, but apparently I crossed him off at some point. So
okay, so you have to do a ballot right now. Who's at the top of your ballot?
Oh man. I would say there's probably a pretty good chance that he's leading it.
Yeah. Adam Fox also up there.
Yeah, I mean, I like Fox. I mean, it's kind of hard to not like almost everything that Cale Makar does, and being north of a point per game, I think will keep him in that mix. Charlie McAvoy sans suspension, probably. And by the way, like, we can talk all we want about Quinn Hughes and how good he's been because he's been excellent, but how much are you guys loving Filip Hronek?
Yeah.
So much stability brought to that pairing. Like Frank, we've talked about this. We've watched AHLers, like guys who are bona fide AHLers. We've seen Luke Schenn. We've seen a guy who couldn't crack Carolina's defense core at all as Quinn Hughes' main partners the past, like, ever since he's been with the Canucks and hasn't been with Chris Tanev, which was just his first year.
We were coming into the season thinking that it was going to be Cole McWard.
Yeah, Cole McWard or Noah Juleson. Yeah, and the fact
then you remember when Hughes came out and said, I haven't played with a guy this good? Yeah. And then you remember when Rick Tocchet said, we're going to do defense by committee this year? And it was like, ooh, that's scary. Speaking of Halloween, that would have been tough, but I like the consistency factor. And also just, I think Hronek is a really valuable top 4 defenseman that all of a sudden, you know, for a lot of people that were second guessing and questioning Patrick Allvin and moving that pick from the Islanders and the Horvat trade so quickly, you don't often see top 4 D-men come around and become available, let alone at an age scheme that fits with what you have going on.
Yeah, I think that move, we look at it back now, obviously the success you're seeing this season, you like it a lot more than a lot of Canucks fans did at the time, because it felt like this team was going to rebuild, quickly goes into a retool with Filip Hronek, and he's added a ton. Like this, Quads, you said it on Oilers Nation when you were over at the Oilers Boys office over there. Like this is the first time where Quinn Hughes can be talked about, I think, in the realm of being one of the best pairings in the NHL. I think that's what you get with Filip Hronek being his partner. And we've heard talk a little bit about, like, is this going to be something because of the schedule that they're able to do with these extra days off? The Canucks have had a good amount of days off to start the season. When they start going into back-to-backs and, you know, playing 3 and 4 nights, I'm curious to see what happens with the pairing at that point. But for now, you're watching what this pairing is doing, and they're excellent. And I think something that's helped that pairing even look better is the great goaltending they're getting from Thatcher Demko, who's playing right now at a .935 save percentage.
Hardware.
Goals against. Frank, you called it at the start of the season. We got to dig up some clips here because
I'm keeping the receipts. I'm just letting you know right now.
Canucks fans appreciate it. Are you the only one who's on that camp? You think he's starting to pick up some buzz around the league?
How could he not? I mean, look at his numbers. They're far superior to almost everyone with the exception of Logan Thompson, who has only played 4 games. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to discount the impact that Demko has had on this group. I was saying fully healthy, his numbers every single time when his body's right are like second to like maybe just a couple Vezina winners in the last handful of years.
What do you make of everything going on in Ottawa right now? I know it kind of happened all this morning, but we've seen some fiery quotes from their new owner. Like, what's the situation here in Ottawa?
That was one of the most riveting and fascinating and refreshing press conferences I've ever seen. New Sens owner Michael Andlauer just spitting fire in terms of how this entire thing has played out. I loved how transparent and forthright he was. And so we'll start with the Pierre Dorion dismissal. Was it a resignation? Was it a firing? I mean, once Michael Andlauer learned of the NHL's decision to force the Sens to forfeit a first-round pick in 2024, 5 or 6, he said that he met with Pierre Dorion last night and told him that the penalty for this could be, quote, no less than his job. And at that point, Pierre Dorion agreed, and they agreed to part ways. That part was interesting. He said we were basically grossly negligent in terms of how that situation unfolded, and the whole thing could have been avoided. But I think what most people will latch on to from the press conference as Steve Stais takes over as as interim GM, is the honesty that he showed when talking about the NHL and the process to purchase the team, in that this Shane Pinto investigation goes back to the summer. And he was not informed until after he had taken ownership of the team. And same thing with this investigation that was 19 months and 591 total days long since the 2022 trade deadline. He was informed of neither one of those investigations prior to purchasing the team. And in fact, said in quote that he thought maybe that they didn't disclose it so as to not disrupt the sale, and they could get as high a purchase price as possible for the seller, which would be the Melnyk estate. So it was fascinating to hear all that come out from a new owner to the league. I'm sure he will be dealt with accordingly to make sure that he goes back to keeping his mouth shut, at least I think, because that's how the NHL does business. You sort of whip everyone into line. But to see that kind of fire, it was pretty clear that he thought this was a significant price to pay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was briefly reading it before we went live here, but didn't he inquire about both of those investigations and he was told it was fine? Like, he was told there was nothing going on?
No, so I think what happened was he was told when he asked after the fact that the seller, which would be the Melnyk estate, did not disclose it to him because they thought it was a non-issue.
Gotcha.
And he said, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure losing a first-round pick is an issue.
Evidently. Yeah.
Unless you get Phil Peroni.
Yeah, unless you get Phil Peroni.
Frank, I think we'll wrap it up on that note. Thank you very much for joining us here, and you can have a burger today. We approve.
Yeah. Already had one. And Chris, just wanted to say on my way out, I don't know if this is the last appearance I'm doing with you on Canucks Conversation, but congratulations on your new role with the Canucks. Really proud. You should be really proud of everything that you've built here, not just at Canucks Conversation, but also CanucksArmy, and can't wait to watch you go.
Yeah, appreciate that. Get started on Monday. So yeah, this will be our last one, Frank. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I know Quad's going to keep it going with you down the road as well. And the new co-host is getting announced in 10 minutes, I think, here.
I'm stuck with this guy, and sources say I know who it is, but I'm not going to spoil this one.
Yeah, please don't, Frank.
Of course you know, Frank.
See you guys.
All right, thanks, Frank. There he is, Frank Seravalli of Daily Faceoff. Check out the Survivor pool, right? You call it pool? What do you call it?
Yeah.
Survivor
Wendy's
Series?
Survivor pool.
The Survivor Series, brother.